So we're back for our final segment of the evening, which we know is the tea, where I am going to talk about just a few of the current event topics that have been going on, because I've come up with some interesting things, let me just say.
Oh, good.
I wanted to talk about just these two stories that were really kind of odd to me.
Okay.
So I don't know, I read a lot of stories on Facebook, and at some time, I think maybe about a year ago, there was a story of a doctor in Africa who had allegedly come up with the cure for AIDS and HIV.
Okay.
Okay, had you heard anything about that? And I'm not even sure if it was actually a true story. Mm-hmm. It was just something I had read, and it was a picture of the doctor, a gentleman, and I was like, oh, okay. And then people started saying, well, watch he come up missing.
Okay.
He's not going to be alive much longer. You know, it was all these various things because of the conspiracy theories that, you know, pharmaceutical companies, of course, they don't want to find what, like they say, the cure is, the money is not in the cure.
Absolutely.
The money is
in the treatment.
Right.
Right.
So, you know, and as far as I'm aware, he's still living.
Okay.
However, there was a gentleman, a doctor who worked for the CDC in Atlanta.
Dr. Cunningham.
Right. Who turned up missing in February. So the story basically was, for those who did not know, that sometime in February he was at work. Now, there was kind of two stories going on. One was that he had applied for a promotion at work and did not get it. Okay. And, you know, so that kind of wounded him.
Okay.
The other was that he was at work one day and he was not feeling well. And so he told them he was going to go home. Now, so these were two different points of view that were presented, but spoke to the reason why he left work this particular day.
Okay. Which
was the last day that he was at work. Mm-hmm. So he goes home and no one hears from him. You know, he said he was sick, you know, or either some people thought that he was upset. So he goes home, and the next day, his keys are there, his dog is there, his wallet is there, but he is not. And so he is now missing. And so the story goes that he went on for weeks unfound, and the body was discovered in the Chattahoochee River.
Okay.
And so I thought that was kind of odd, because the first thing that I thought about was the doctor in Africa, because they said that Dr. Cunningham was also instrumental in developing the treatments for Ebola and the Zika virus.
Okay.
So immediately it came to my mind that, you know, I'm wondering if this was
to trigger something.
Yeah, something similar, because I'm like, you're working for the CDC, and you know what's going on. So you heard about the story? Did you have any particular thoughts on that?
I have heard the story. I've heard about the story, and I've like you, I've heard a lot of conflicting reports about his last days, when his body was discovered, mm-hmm. How it was discovered.
The officers in the area have said that the details are lacking, so that they are having a difficult time. And like you said, we don't know mm-hmm. what they actually know, but they were saying that the details are so small or all over the place that there's no way to really figure out what's going on. So they actually, from a report that I saw yesterday, said that this will probably be a closed case.
Yeah, I
and so that's how few details. But the interesting thing, or the thing that piqued my interest, mm-hmm. was, because I love a crime, not like I'm not saying I love a crime, but I love like a mystery. Mm-hmm. Was that he went to his neighbor's house,
okay,
and spoke to the husband and told the husband to tell the wife to remove his cell phone number from her cell phone.
Right.
And so it was like that little detail was the one thing that I think has made everybody kind of think, like, what could have taken place?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, you know, he's gone. But then the other interesting part was where the body was found was also a place that was previously searched. So they were saying that, of course, that because of the positioning of the body, just in case if you have not looked into it at all, the body was found face up downstream in a muddy area. So, after it, I'm not even going to try to, go into what could have happened. But, so that's how the body was found. And they were saying even with that, they were unable to put together anything. But just that one detail that was brought forth by the neighbor, was just the interesting thing. They also talked to his sister, which she said that he sounded a little strange, but there was nothing that she could pinpoint. She just said he sounded strange.
She had a feeling,
right?
Yeah.
And so the only, I think, really out of place thing was the mention to the neighbor to remove the cell phone. So, and I couldn't think to myself, like, what could that possibly be about?
Yeah.
And so that one story of Dr. Cunningham took me to another story that recently took place.
Okay.
A gentleman went to the nightclubs right here close to our Shear Chat studio.
Okay.
Went into the club, came out. Now there's two conflicting stories. One says that he was a little too inebriated, and he decided to take a lift home.
Okay.
The other says that he couldn't find his car.
Okay.
So it could be one and the same. Mm-hmm. Maybe he was too drunk to find the car.
Okay.
But they have not put those two things together yet. But
so these are two completely different theories.
Yes, as to why he didn't have his car.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so he goes home and he comes back the next day.
Okay.
And he's walking to where his car is, and he says he notices that he can't get to the car because there are police blocking off the block where the car is.
Okay.
So he says, oh, okay, well, the police down there, something happened, whatever. I'm going to go run some errands, and I'll come back.
Okay.
He does, only to find that he can't find his car now for real.
So really, dude, where's my car?
And he reports the car stolen.
Okay.
And the police say, well, tell me again what kind of car it is. What's the tag number? And they say, well, unfortunately, your car, we cannot release your car to you because it was a part of a crime. And so he's thinking, like, part of the crime, like, my car was parked.
Okay.
So he says, well, maybe somebody hit
the next
it.
Day?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe somebody hit it, So he's thinking, and then as they continue to question him to make sure that he was the owner of the car, they revealed that a deceased body was found in his car. So, as I did a little more research into it, I found that the person was a law student. I'm sorry, a lawyer.
Okay.
And his mom talked about, him and said, he was not a person she's really, on the foul play type tip.
Okay.
She's like, he's not a person to go out and stay out all night long. So basically, they just don't know what happened to him. And the ironic thing, almost like Dr. Cunningham, there is no signs of visible struggle. Mm-hmm. There's no signs of foul play.
Okay.
He was just there, dead.
Wow.
And so I thought, to me, it was just kind of, like you said, chilling because it's so close to home. But then also, I think about my parents always say, you have to be so careful, when you're in the streets. And I'm like, yeah, you're careful, Yeah. And then you go on about your business. But then when things like this happen, and it would be one thing if you could say, oh, he was knocked across the head because of, whatever. Mm-hmm. He had his cell phone, or something like that. But for there to be almost no answers as to why, and, this person is now dead, there's no answer as to how this happened. Mm-hmm. That's kind of scary to me.
That's very scary. That's very scary to have someone show up dead in your. Well, I guess they wouldn't show up if they're dead.
Right. That's like saying you woke up dead.
Yeah, but to have a dead body in your car. And so this was the very next day.
This was the very next day.
And
so apparently,
so he was at the, obviously it's night. I'm sorry for cutting you off, but it's obviously it's nighttime. He's at the club. So when did this? Do they know when it happened? Like when did he leave the club? Like, is he a suspect?
Because I don't think he's a suspect. Not that anything that I've read, has labeled him as a suspect.
Okay.
I should say.
So are there any other like maybe specific markers about him? I mean, what is this? Are they looking at the possibility of a hate crime? I mean, it's was he
Not
gay,
that we know
black,
of.
Muslim, Hispanic?
He was black. Well,
Okay.
he looked like he was biracial. The mom looks like as if she was a Caucasian lady.
Okay.
But again, it wasn't specific. But those were pretty much all the details. So it's another kind of bizarre event that is taking place.
Absolutely.
And I just said, right here in our own backyard.
Yeah, that's pretty.